Are we live right now?
Yep.
All right. Well, welcome to The Art of. I am your host, William Reed, and we're going to start this little Art of series with a bunch of art, just random art books that I have in my collection. I figured we'd go through for inspiration, and some of them are quite old, so there's that nostalgia feel to them. And what better way to start episode 1 than with Star Wars episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves. And we're going to start off with Chester. Chester is our host of FanSpeak. You want to go ahead and let everybody know what FanSpeak is, Chester?
Yeah, hello everybody. My name is Chester C. Busby III, and I host the FanSpeak on YouTube. It's under Chester Busby. I think the link is just down below. And what we do have there is it's a community channel where we all come together and we share our ideas and our love of comic books inside this particular community, this so-called Comicsgate community. And we have a lot of people get together. We have fans as our guests instead of having lots of different pros, and we let everyone have a voice. That's the idea.
Excellent. And next on our list would be Ian.
Hey gang, aloha. I'm also a co-host on FanSpeaks with Chester, and I'm also on the basement tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, talking about any topics that our guests or us feel like it. So tomorrow's cartoons. That's the theme.
Nice.
So we're excited for our guests to be on there to talk about all the cartoons of our childhoods.
Excellent. I love cartoons.
Me too.
I love anything that makes me feel like a kid again, actually.
Yeah.
And next on our list, last but not least, Jake Campbell. He is the creator of the Bull comic book. You want to go ahead and talk about that a little bit?
Yep, here it is right here. This is the Bull #1. The easiest way to summarize it, the first issue, it's a father and son who share the interest in the same superhero, and by the end of the issue, one of them becomes that hero in real life. So in the story, like the hero, like the Bull, is like a household name type of thing, like a Batman type of character. So like in this world, it's a known superhero that people love and adore, and so between the two of them, one of them becomes him in real life. So it's just a $5 book. It's a 20-pager, and it's in demand on Indiegogo right now. So
is that must be on Indicron, is it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we've made I want to say like 1,285, I think, something like that.
Completely independent comic book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you should pat yourself on the back. That's pretty great, actually.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
And I created the character when I was 4 years old. Here's a picture of him on the back from when I was 7. So I've had the character in my head for a while, so it's nice to be able to finally get him out there.
Yes, very cool. Very cool. So there's not much change between him and what he looks like now.
Yeah, there's not a ton. I really wanted to try to keep it in the same headspace as I created when I was a kid. There's going to be a lot of reference to, because I did make some like old comics with like notebook paper and stuff. There's going to be a lot of inspiration gleaned from that, and making a cohesive story out of it, but really keeping a lot of the same, the cosmetic elements and things like that that I originally had. So
yeah, very cool.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, so let's get at it. My parents were going through their basement, and they had brought over a box of stuff that I had stored down there when I had moved out. And in the box was this little collector's edition box set of Star Wars Episode 1. And I didn't realize what it was in the time. Like, you can see, like, she's a little tattered.
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think I've ever actually watched it. Because once you open it up, everything's still intact.
Yep.
Right? So here on the top, we've got an actual cell from the movie. Right?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You can't really see it this way, but
Yeah, if you throw a light behind it, you can see it really good, though.
yeah, I don't really have a light. It looks like they're actually in the cockpit, and it looks like young Obi-Wan leaning over the pilot inside probably that Nubian ship when they're on the geez, I don't know. I think that, you know what that I think that is? I think they're on Tatooine when they find Darth Maul for the first time, and they're watching the fight outside between Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah, you're talking about that really great, sleek silver Nubian ship, yeah?
Yeah. Wait, can you see that a little better?
A little bit.
Yeah. There you go.
Right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, they're just kind of looking at either the screen or out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah. So inside this box set, we also have, hang on, focus, a little booklet. It's the art of. So we'll get back to this in a little second here. But here is the VHS. Okay. Now I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever watched this. And because the box itself doesn't look like it's been touched.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's,
That could be a collector edition, then.
Oh, look at that, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's been watched or not because the tape seems to be have gone halfway through.
Yeah, that's how they do it back then.
Oh, really?
You would have to rewind everything to the beginning, but they would, to kind of like have everything tight and straight, they would have it halfway spun.
So it fits nicely in the box. Right? It's nice and snug in there. So that's probably another reason why it's been so pristine, other than it's been locked in a trunk.
Yeah.
And then we got a little booklet on savings. It's never been opened. Still got the pull tab down the side.
Yeah.
Oh, did we lose my phone?
Let's see.
Yeah, it looks like.
I think I got a message that it was overheating.
Oh, wow.
They do that.
Yeah, they do that.
Hang on. I'm going to just mute this for a second. Maybe I'll plug it in, see if that'll change.
Sure. While you're plugging it in. Yeah, so that box set came out 2000, a year after it got released in May of 99. So everybody was excited about, that first Star Wars film, the new one after, I think, 20 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
That was a big deal, I remember.
And leading up to it was the special editions where, some of it was, I agree with, which he re-edited the whole Death Star trench run, making it more clear and adding more ship where it didn't look like a ragtag team. But
Yeah.
I think I kind of missed that it was smaller because it would show the desperation of the rebels attacking something that, were insurmountable. But and then the whole Jabba the Hutt thing.
Oh, the conversation.
Yeah, that didn't work, where he was moving too much and he looks like a jello, walking jello with mouth.
He's like too smooth.
And something about that is because I was watching the later interviews with those special effects legends, and they said, something that we forgot to learn was the inability of movement, which was, because they were saying, oh, if he can move this and move that way, was action unto itself, and they had forgotten that part. Where in Return of the Jedi, the reason why he was so believable, even though he was a giant puppet, was because he had that weight and presence.
Oh,
and and they forgot that.
Mhm.
And when they made him move so much, he kind of lost that edge and that performance as well.
Hey, William, why don't you go ahead and white box my picture so we can have this up while we chat and while you work on that. There you go. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, guys.
Yeah. So, what was interesting about the art style that George wanted to present, he wanted to present if the original trilogy was after the war that the Empire won, everything is so industrialized, black and white. He wanted to bring it back into the like speak easy, the roaring 20s, if you wanted to consider that, having the jazz glamour, the whole vibrant color. I specifically remember him saying that. He wanted operatic. That's why you had Queen Amidala with that whole makeup and costume. It's like opera. This is a time where curves, peace allowed curves and allowed, flourishing of different culture and different colors and different textures. And he wanted
Well,
to
it's certainly beautiful for sure. I mean, it was a beautifully presented thing all the way across that prequel series, I think. For sure.
Yeah. And then I always appreciated the fact, like, the prequels are like before everything got all ravaged and battle torn, so everything looked all shiny for a reason. It was because all the stuff that had happened later hadn't happened yet. So, like, the original stuff, we see everything all dirty and rusty because it had been through the ringer. But with the prequels, we see it pristine because it hadn't happened yet. So I always thought that was cool.
Yeah, I think the only time we see the old stuff is during the pod racing scene, and they're actually made out of junk. And same thing with C-3PO when we see him for the first time. He's also made out of junk.
True. William, why don't you do me a favor and white box me, and I will keep throwing new pictures up for you.
Certainly. There you go. All right.
So what I also found interesting as well was, as much as there's flourishing, the amount of excess of material wealth and colors and everything was also a systematic present of corruption and decadence. So it went kind of head in hand. And as we get closer and closer to the original, they stripped away to allow more of the spirituality to take hold. To the point when we get to Empire Strikes Back, you have Luke without a ship, without means of contact. The only technological thing he has really is R2-D2, which in itself is kind of lifelike, thanks to the action of Kenny Baker. But and you really see that contrast of, industrial glamour compared to naturalistic beauty in the original trilogy. So that's always something contrasting. And the funny thing that added on to me, and I think there's a particular reason why George Lucas, with his costume design, making Obi-Wan be wearing his uniform, because everybody thought that, that's just a hermit garb or whatever. And, everybody will start looking more like Luke Skywalker than in The Return of the Jedi. You have Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan's in that same type of garb. I feel like it's like, this is first two throws, like, no, these are your Jedis, these are your sheriffs. But also, it's to show this is a lineage. How it's all about, lines and mentoring and family. Well, and they said, and Obi-Wan kept saying it over and over in the prequel, the Jedi are my family. Qui-Gon Jinn is my father. He trained me, he mentored me, and Obi-Wan became the mentor and father figure for Anakin. So you have to look at that lineage of master and apprentice, the same thing as the dark inverse of the Siths going on as well. what's amazing about Queen Amidala is they even have a backstory about the lips and the makeup. They did a whole backstory that this is the first queen had a bloody lip or something. And
Really?
basically when they did for their wars of independence in the old EU, the first queen had a fight where she had a gash in her lower lips. So all future queens would have symbolism.
All right. Someone's got something on. You got to shut the volume off on that, man.
There you go. So I muted both of you, William. So where was I?
You're talking about bloody lip on Queen Amidala.
Yeah, so it became a ceremony and a ritual that all queens of Naboo and kings would wear that red lipsticks.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I think everyone really is here to see this character.
Absolutely.
I think this is the main draw.
Yeah.
All right. It looks like William
Jar Jar Binks. It's no go outside. Space so cold. Brr.
Best.
Okay. I'll stop sharing now. If you have any more trouble, just let me know and we'll go ahead and I'll throw up some more stuff. But all right. So William, gotta have to turn one of your mics on so we can hear you.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
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 All right. I base my whole life on Jar Jar Binks. I bet you do, Popefire.
Mm-hmm.
The aspiration. Misa, so glad that Misa has fans.
Oh my goodness.
Little Annie.
All right. Somebody say Popefire's here.
Yeah, she is here. Yeah, you got about 6 people watching. You got James, you got Pope, you got Humphrey.
Humphrey's
you
here.
got us.
Yep.
I'm more excited to see Humphrey than I am Popefire.
Oh goodness! Don't say that too
Got
loud.
my throat.
She'll judo chop you through the internet.
Yeah.
She'll get. Oh look, she disliked me already.
See? Not playing around.
Yeah.
All right, so we can hear you, we can see it. So let's continue.
All right. Yeah, let's get right into it. All right. So the first couple pages are just kind of repeating themselves.
Yeah, they just have to remind you this is the art of Star Wars.
Yeah. Episode 1.
Yeah.
So we've got a preface here, and it's signed at the bottom by Jonathan Bresman, and the date is May 1999.
And who is Jonathan Bresman?
I assume.
I believe that's the author of the book.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm. Yeah, it's just a preface about Lucasfilm and George Lucas himself. So yeah, he's probably the fellow that either put the book together or had something to do with Lucasfilm.
You know, it was interesting that they decided to give C-3PO that origin that Anakin built up the junk. You know, found him in a junkyard and rebuilt him for his mom.
Well, it's interesting that you use the word interesting, because I would have used the word silly, seeing as we saw in the original films that it was actually a very standard domestic unit that anyone could buy. So, you know.
Well, he was a slave, so he wouldn't be able to buy anything. But there was a lot of inconsistency, because I was saying it's interesting he did that, because I would have reversed that, where he would have R2-D2 as an astromech because it's a mechanic droid, and C-3PO would have been with Princess Amidala because he's a protocol droid. That's why I was going on with interesting. But
yeah, no, I get it. I was just making a interesting, joking, interesting point. Because
it was so interesting, funny.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Continue, William.
Yeah. So on the black page here, we've got an inverted image of C-3PO. And it says here it's a conceptual design by Doug Chiang. Chiang. Do you know how to pronounce that, Chester?
Chang.
Chang?
Doug Chang.
Chang. Okay. The next page.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, this is a concept design for Darth Maul. The designer's name was Ian McKeag. And just in the blurb here, it says, the first image of Darth Maul nearly ended up in the trash. McKeag had been dissatisfied with a drawing based on his own face and angrily blotted ink all over it. The ink patterns reminded him of the tattoos he had created for the evil senators, and soon Darth Maul was born. So this character design was completely by accident.
That doesn't surprise me somehow.
No, usually good art is by accident.
Yeah.
I don't really care for Darth Maul. I might be outvoted, but I thought it was kind of a weird, silly character.
Well,
Do you guys like Darth Maul?
I mean, the only good part of the movie that everybody could agree was the fight sequence with Darth Maul.
Really?
Yeah. If you ask anybody of the prequel generation and the original era generation, they would say the lightsaber with Darth, as much as they dislike most of the rest of the film, Darth Maul was one of the shining parts for the limited screen time he was there.
I think the art's great. What do you think, Jake? Are you a big fan of Darth Maul?
I'm not a huge fan of him. My whole thing for me, though, when this movie came out, I was like 14 years old. And, the public in general was hungry for another Star Wars movie after such a long lapse, So being I was a teenager at that point. I imagine if I was a little kid, I probably would have been blindly adoring of the whole movie. But I mean, if I look back on when the movie came out, if I'm honest with myself, I enjoyed it for the most part of whenever it came out. Since then we pick things apart, we analyze story and things like that more. But if I go back to initial reaction, it's just like, yeah, I remember just being enthralled with everything when it first came out. Just the bizarre look of him, even like Jar Jar, how he was and stuff. I really liked the visuals of the movie.
Yeah, they were beautiful.
Did you see this movie in theaters?
Yes, I did. I was one of the people who waited forever to go see it and everything. And I had my shirt that was like 2 sizes too small because I was a larger fellow when this movie came out. So I had him with his I don't remember what the ship was, but the yellow ship he uses at the end of the movie. I was wearing that. It was like a tie-dye shirt with that on it. It was really ugly. But
you mean a Royal Fighter?
Yeah.
There are beautiful visuals in the movie, and just let you guys know, the chat is aghast at my comments about Darth Maul, and they said that you should kick me.
You're becoming Big Nasser.
If I didn't need you so much, I'd kick you.
Well, what's interesting as well, and I was also with the theaters, and people generally dug it until the point they started breaking it apart. Like you mentioned, Jake. And the flaw of the story was it had bad pacing. It, as much editing it was, the pacing was really what killed it, because you could really take the first 20 minutes of the movie and put it in the crawler and start the movie from them crash landing into Tatooine, and that could have been.
Could have done that. That's true. A good point. Yeah. Well, what art we got here, William? Let's see what else they got.
Before we move on, what do you guys think of this outfit that Darth Maul's wearing right here in this picture, where it's actually to me. I'm not sure how well it's coming up in the picture, but it almost looks like he's wearing a golden turtleneck with spikes on it.
That's from they were trying to base him from Prince Zaxor from the Black Suns from remember Shadows of the Empire?
Oh yeah. Yep.
So they based Dark Maul initially from that character. So they were trying to do Gauntlet and all that stuff to kind of tie it in there.
I think I like it better when he was wearing the movie, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, that was Ray Parker's input because he was originally going to wear something like that until he kind of said, I can't do those gymnastic moves that you want me to do in that restricted outfit. I have to have some loose at the knees and elbows, and they redesign it to look how it is in the movies.
Yeah.
Well, they could have just had it like a jacket that he took off or something, but yeah, oh well.
Yeah. But it's kind of funny that I'm mentioning that because they wanted to tie Darth Maul with the crime signets and gangs from the early onset. So anybody who was able to stomach through Solo, it's kind of like, where when you first thought about what an odd choice it is for Darth Maul, spoiler, to be the crime boss of the Crimson whatever they is. It's like, really, Darth Maul is a crime boss? But then I remember it's like, no, yeah, they had that plan from the very beginning. Now they're just implementing in a really bad movie.
Mm-hmm.
Let me check here. Anybody in the chat care about a Solo spoiler? Nope. Okay, we're good to go.
All right, so this image here, I absolutely love it. This reminds me of A New Hope, when the Millennium Falcon is being sucked into the Death Star.
Yeah.
And when it's an extreme pan and it shows how small the Millennium Falcon is compared to that overall structure.
Yeah.
That scene was actually a painted storyboard, and they superimposed the Millennium Falcon over top of it to make it look like it was all done in outer space. And to me, this painting here looks exactly like that painting from A New Hope. So this one here is the Republic cruiser approaching the Trade Federation battleship, initial and final production paintings. And this is also done by Doug Chang.
Yeah. So what they normally did is cut out the area where they would normally, and what you were talking about, they would have the painting as the background area. They've done that in the movies, like in The New Hope, when Obi-Wan is shutting off the shield generator. The rest of the background is matte painting and all that stuff. But it's kind of funny that you say that this invokes the Millennium Falcon going into the Death Star. For me, is actually the blockade runner from the opening of A New Hope, and the opening chassis of the Star Destroyer. That's what invoked me, that image.
Yeah. That opening scene from A New Hope, with the Star Destroyer chasing the little one. I remember watching that for the first time, and I thought, when I watched that scene, my first instinct was to say this movie is huge. Mm-hmm. Because that ship was so large. Yeah. Right. So,
fun fact about the opening of New Hope, that smaller ship, as you called it, that had Leia on it, that was actually the original Millennium Falcon design. And then they came out with the one we know and love, and they just took that original Millennium Falcon and turned it into the ambassadorial ship. Fun fact.
Yep.
Yeah, that is kind of cool. So here's where things start to get crappy really fast. This is also by the guy that just did the previous page, Doug. These are the MTTs, and they're invading Naboo. And I'm not sure if you can see it down here in the little corner. Hang on. I'll show these little guys
Right.
running.
Oh yeah, look at that. That's cool.
You know, with that image, it reminds me of the bounty hunter droids from Empire, the IG-88.
Yeah.
And I thought initially when I saw the art when they were doing sneak peek that these were going to be field commission. It's like, here's, that awesome droid that was in that group of bounty hunter. Well, he comes from actually, an army of droids, and he survived the battles to be a bounty hunter kind of deal. But unfortunately, we got Roger.
Yep.
Now this one I do like. You might see a lot of interior shots here, and I'll be saying, geez, this one here I do like. Anything that has to do with interiors, I've got a thing for right now. So right here we've got Newt Gunray's troop inspection. And you can see Newt doesn't look like Newt. These are all just concept designs, right?
Mm-hmm. All right. And he still had the chair that he actually still used in the movie. Slightly different design.
Yeah, like even the yellow garbed aliens behind him, completely different in the movie. Although the robots are the same.
Yeah. The easiest one.
Seeing as we're seeing these artistic impressions and then compared to what we saw in the movie, what do you guys like better? The art they have going on or what they actually, their final product?
I mean, I would say the art, but that's, I'm a consumer of art, like I have tons of art books too, so I just enjoy seeing concepts,
True.
I like seeing the evolution of the concept to what we would see on the big screen. Right? Because, these characters didn't look that way the entire time, start to finish. There was an evolution there.
Yeah.
So,
this is Oto Gunge, also by Doug Chang. So this looks like it could have been done with markers until it goes to the down here in the little corner. Looks like it's more of a hand-painted approach.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
But if you look close, you can see all the marker lines.
Yeah.
Either done with Copics or Prismacolors or something.
What's
Some sort of water-based marker.
Yeah, and what's interesting about the initial concept that wasn't in the original film is that these actually were attached to the walls of the underwater sea.
Yeah, I like it better. I like it much better, actually. I like the black and white a lot better.
Yeah, and compared to when we saw them inside, where they were kind of like floating, like a floating water jellyfish city. Actually having that support structure kind of gave it more. I wish they went with that approach.
Yeah, it makes more sense.
Yeah, it does. I think they dropped the ball on the Gungans completely, to be honest with you. Not just Jar Jar, the whole thing. It's they could have been a cool militaristic, society type people, and they just made them these kind of goofy, low IQ things, and it. I didn't like it. I don't think anyone else did either.
I mean, I think if they had the captain that they first met up stay with the group and be the foil for Jar Jar Binks to give a contract and say, hey, this is not how all Gungans are, it would have been like that same dynamic between 3PO and R2-D2 where 3PO is Jar Jar Bink and R2-D2 is the captain. No nonsense guy trying to, do it. And he's like, oh, I can't believe I'm here with you, Jar Jar Binks. You are Bane in my side. Why am I here with you? Misa, I know. Misa just doing what the wills of the god does. Misa want to kill you, Jar Jar Binks. Misa hates Saiyans.
Okay,
Kinda
Dinale,
like that.
stop
Kinda-
that right now.
You were getting interesting. You were getting interested.
So if you think that character design for the Gungans is as awful as it was, wait till you see what it could have been. Because don't forget, they picked the best concept for the Gungans.
Well, and here's the thing: why Lucas chose the Gungans design, because they reminded him of Goofy. That was his homage.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
So Jar Jar Binks, if you look at how he looks, he's Goofy, basically.
He does
Yeah,
have that
big floppy
cumbersome, and that
Yeah.
I
cumbersome
never thought about
stride.
that. Yeah, you're right.
Wow.
See that he wanted to go to Disney all along.
Oh goodness, subliminal messaging.
Well, he was always
Freudian
a
That's a
Disney.
premonition right there, eh?
Oh my. But it's interesting. The little underwater craft is the same that we saw in the movie, though.
It is, yeah. Or very similar. I'm not sure about the nose of the thing, but it's definitely got that spirally tail to it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right. It's very
jellyfish tendrils or whatever.
Yeah, manta ray,
Yeah.
kind of looking thing.
And they definitely went real dark with the water because it's supposed to be so deep, right? The deeper you go, the darker it gets, right? So the ship's got some headlights on, but
which is kind of crazy if you think about it. They actually swim with just breathing tubes under pressures.
They are Jedi. Do not judge them.
Well, I know they got that
chlorines. Remember?
Yeah, well, I know they got that speedy force run, but do they have like super swim?
Like Aquaman.
It would have took them a week to swim down there.
I wonder if Jedi can talk to fish too.
I'm sure.
And speaking of fish, here's our concept design from the big one that chased the little ship there. Oh, my phone just quit on me again.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
So talking about those fish, they actually hire a marine biologist and zoologist onto the team to help them design those fish, how they would act and move to be more realistic for the show. So they were really proud of those designs, especially when they saw it on film.
I think the fish are pretty good looking.
Yeah.
I just thought it was odd that they said they're going to take this little craft and actually drive through the center of the planet, which would take days and days and days. It was rather silly concept.
Well, supposedly, and here's the novelization at work, was they would go into a jet stream that would go through the planets, and each of these jet streams connected to another opening. So they, how we have ocean currents, well, they have these jet stream ties that went through it, but they weren't really explained.
They should have showed that then.
Again, pacing, and nobody saying, "Hey, George, maybe you should show that thing."
Well, one of the things about that movie that did feel like Star Wars to me was when the big fish was chasing them, and then the bigger fish come up and bit them in half.
Yeah,
that bigger fish felt to me, or looked like to me, the Rancor pit from Empire.
Yeah.
All right.
Like it had that, I don't know what you would call it, that puppetry animation. What was that called back in the day? Animatronics?
No.
That's the feel that it had, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was that animatronics or was it claymation? I'm not sure.
It's stop motion.
Stop motion. Yeah, that's the one.
Ray Harryhausen stuff.
Yeah. Because they were trying to do with a suit originally and have a guy, and they did the thing, but it didn't look good. And they finally had to go back and say, okay, we're going to have to do that stop motion. And then you had the parts that they actually built out for Mark Hamill to act against about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of funny, but it's a reminder that they had to use all the tools at their disposal to make the movie instead of leaning heavily on one certain tools.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the Rancor scene, I can't remember. Maybe one of you guys know, but the Rancor keeper who had that emotional scene at the end where he lost a pet. Wasn't that keeper supposed to be some special cameo, but it didn't work out?
That was supposed to be Jim Belushi, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
And he passed
Jim
away.
Belushi?
Yeah. That's cool, huh?
Yeah, that's random.
Yeah, because he was friend with Carrie Fisher, and they were able to convince, and George liked the Blues Brothers before that movie came out. And then
So that's where Carrie Fisher got all the drugs from. I get it.
Mhm.
Connections.
Well, she was taking hits upon hits before she met Jim Belushi. He just helped her access to it based on her diaries that she released before she passed away.
Wow.
Which was terrible because those drugs affected her voice, where she went really pleasant to that crackling voice that you heard right now. Towards the end.
Yeah. Well, like I always say, drugs are for kids. When you grow up, you should stop the drugs.
So James S. in the chat says the Rancor was a puppet slowed down. And then he moves on to say the Rancor keeper was Gail Simone.
Oh, no.
Oh, okie dokie.
Let's keep it PG here.
Yes, let's not be mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually have where that Rancor, like that thing tours the country, because they just had it here at the Seattle Fair where you could like take pictures with it, like how they have like celebrity photo ops. You could have the same thing with the Rancor as well. And it was
that's
this
cool.
huge thing, yeah.
Yeah, a couple years ago, my wife and I did a trip to Halifax, and at their Museum of Natural History, they had Darth Vader's suit on display.
Mm-hmm.
And
wow!
They had a lot of movie props. Like these were legit props. They were all in glass tubes and stuff, and you weren't allowed to touch any of them.
Sure.
But they had George Clooney's nipple suit from Batman.
Nice.
Oh goodness.
They had Jean-Luc Picard's captain's uniform.
Yeah.
They had one of the Ghostbusters uniforms and backpack.
Yeah.
They had a whole room dedicated to Indiana Jones, which I thought was fantastic because that's actually my favorite trilogy of all time.
Nice.
Those are good. Yeah. We don't talk about the last one, but yes, you're right.
That's why I said trilogy.
Yes, he did. He's a good man. Not the quadrilogy, trilogy.
Yeah.
But mentioning on the Comic-Con stuff, I'm going to Tokyo Comic-Con here in Japan in December, and my daughter went. I'm bringing my whole family. My daughter went on, and they had like a limited number of photos with who's the guy that does Bucky in the Captain America movies? What's his name?
Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian.
Yeah, Sebastian Stans. Well, she was lucky enough to get one of those to go get a picture with him. How much you guys think it costs to get a picture with Sebastian Stans?
It was I think $200 or $250 when they were down here in Seattle in June.
I think $500 right now.
Wow. Well, she got a discount. She paid $160.
Nice.
A nice job. No, that's not nice. That's horribly overpriced.
Well, could have been more.
Yeah, I thought
Times
it was funny.
of money. Yeah.
Off topic.
Yeah.
So, has your phone cooled down enough there, William?
I don't know. I forgot all about it.
We were just talking about it. Another interesting facet, since we're talking about art, is the Jabba the Hutt suit, which took 3 people to operate, and there was a little small person handling the tail, and they would have to keep reminding the actors, especially Carrie Fisher, not to jump on the tail, because when she did that, she would keep hitting the guy downward, and he complained about it and say, "I'm here to stop it." So that's why you kind of see her in one of the scenes, kind of riding Java a little bit up, because she remembered there was a little guy at the tail that, the last couple takes, she kept hitting him down to the point he was complaining. It's like,
You know what I pictured when you said that was the two guys dressed in the horse costume, and one guy's the front end, one guy's the rear end.
Yeah.
Hey, William, go ahead and share my screen, and I'll put some stuff up for you, man.
Yeah. So so with the Phantom Menace, they kind of start realizing, the errors of the special edition, where they kind of slow down his movement to kind of give him. They don't really have it right because he still looked too smooth based on the technology, which they really should have just done a puppetry. It would have been better in that case. And then,
so this CG screen that we're looking at right now, the only two real characters I believe that are in there is the girl off to the left, and then we get the Twi'lek over to the right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is he the original Twi'lek from Empire?
Good question.
You mean from Return of the Jedi? No.
Yeah.
That's actually Matt Wood, the sound.
The sound guy. Yeah, I heard a rumor that it was him that did the sound engineering for the film.
Yeah, no, it's not a rumor. It was Matt Wood who did the sound engineering for the movie. He also played him, and he also was the voice of General Grievous.
Wow.
Both in the movies and Clone Wars. Not the one with Janet Talavosky, but the Dave Filoni Clone Wars. He was a voice actor of General Grievous.
Wow, you're a source of information, Dinale.
Yeah,
that's quite interesting. Here's another one for you. Now this is kind of interesting. Here's a clip from the movie, and here we have little Annie with his mom. Did she ever get a name? What was her name?
She was Sheem.
Yeah. What did you guys think about this whole Jesus premise they had going on with Anakin?
Well, what was originally supposed to happen was the reveal in the third film where Palpatine was telling him about the tragedy of Dark Plagueis. And he's revealing, that whole scene. He was really supposed to reveal, and George Lucas had written it, that he manipulated the midichlorians to create Anakin.
So we were going to have another "I am your father." Oh, I get it.
Yeah,
awesome.
But at the last minute, he decided that wasn't good, so he cut it out. And that was another reason why Anakin decided to protect Palpatine, because Palpatine was revealed he was his father, and he's for family. The same reason why. Go ahead.
That would have been better. But let me stop this screen sharing. William's got his phone back up, so go ahead and
phone's back up, and now we're on to the Gungan design.
There we go.
So I'm gonna bring this up closer so you guys can see this.
So one of the early concepts for Jar Jar Binks was supposed to be kind of like the reverse version of Yoda, where you meet this creature by the side of the road, and he actually there's the more goofy look for it, and he would be actually a powerful creature like Yoda. In this case, he's the inverse of Yoda, where he's a creature but not for good, and he's actually was there for a purpose. He was actually an agent of Palpatine, but there was such a backlash of how he was presented and everything that it didn't really work. Because if you kind of see the Phantom Menace, he always did an action that kind of alerted people attention towards them each and every time.
Can you go up to the one that's on the left-hand page real quick? Up a little bit. Yeah. Am I wrong, or is there something extremely creepy about that picture?
He was supposed to be a rogue creature, and that was They were going to go with it until I guess somebody said he was too creepy and too obvious, that they kind of made him more fuzzy.
Huh. See, I love this art a lot better than what came out.
Yeah, and that's why you get the Jar Jar Binks is a Darth Sith Lord premise from because of these drawings.
What do you think about that, Jake? Jar Jar Sith.
We can do it. That sounds like a great idea. They need 3 whole movies devoted to it.
Yes, they do. Darth Jar Jar.
Hold on. I know. I'm going to do it in a second. I got to go pull some chicken. I'll be right back.
So yeah,
Sure thing. Yeah.
Ooh, chicken.
So wait, go back the page and show. So remember, Chester, when you say if you wish they looked more militaristic, that was the
Gungans,
yeah, the Gungan. That was their military uniforms, showing right there on the right page, and that was one of the original concept for Jar Jar Binks as well.
Now this one here is what we've seen on the screen, but it looks beautiful as concept art. It's a very well designed creature. Where was the downfall in putting it into the movie? Was it the CG?
Yeah.
I think so too.
It was too much of a CG. They should have unfortunately, should have worked it out as actual live action people wearing costume and then CGing like the open areas, arms and head to kind of make it flow better, because I'm pretty sure the processing power at that time couldn't handle the different textures and layers of clothing.
Yeah. I think that the thing that killed the Gungans in general was just the way they acted and spoke. I mean, these are supposed to be a civilized society that has high-tech equipment. They wouldn't speak like that. That's what hurt.
I can understand they were going with a comedic role for Jar Jar Binks, so they made him a bumbling idiot. But the entire society,
yeah,
it's weird.
And I think the actor who was Brian, what's his last name? Delayed. He also played in Flash as the wing guy. We got him. He was even saying about the speech that it was too much. Either you had to go really over the top and, make those sounds after you spoke, because the way you speak actually distracts from the performance. He mentioned that. He's like, I didn't really listen to him, and now he's like, they give you a good idea. Listen to your actors.
Well, your voice went all roboty there for a minute, but it actually worked. It was kind of in the groove. Oh, William.
It did, yeah.
Now look at these pictures here. Is that supposed to be Amidala over here?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Wow, that's so much better than what they did.
Yep. It's not over the top.
No, I like it.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got. We got some ship interiors. We've got the R2. Hang on, I'm going to lift this up a little bit. Without getting the glare on it. But here's the rocket lifters. Remember, he was a flying R2 for some reason?
Yeah.
This one I actually like. He's all split open with all his little limbs going on.
Oh, that's cool, man. I like that one.
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Yeah.
Another breathtaking painting. Look how cool this is. It's a shame that it fell apart on the big screen. I can still remember the hype. I mean, it's been years between the Star Wars, between Return of the Jedi and then this. And I remember how excited I felt when I heard there was a new Star Wars. And then I remember leaving the theater so disappointing and upset that they tried to turn it into such a cartoon. You know, there was minimal puppetry.
Oh man,
the overuse of the green screen. It just
don't get me started with the puppet Yoda that they use. That was so creepy.
Yeah, they were trying to go for a younger approach.
And they were
Like,
also
can you
trying to
imagine
get
how the film would have felt if they would have used these painted backgrounds like they did in the original?
Yeah. Well, they were trying to go for a younger audience, though. That is definitely true.
Yeah, and the ship design. This is the first time we've seen color in Star Wars, is it not?
No, there was color, but it was more kind of minimalistic, trimmed, like highlights. But there was color on the ships.
Those are very bright. Yeah.
So here we get some creature designs and some setups for the little town folks on Tatooine there. This page here, this was kind of cool. It's just a little concept art of all the food, little, I don't know what you call them, rabbits and frogs and stuff that they would eat. It's hanging up in the shop.
Yeah. Well,
that's attention. Cool. This is attention to detail, this stuff.
It is, right? Yeah. And it was cool that they tried to flesh the town out a little bit more. But the problem is they de-evolved Tatooine from what we saw in Star Wars. Now, of course, I understand that was a little bit later, but still, in The New Hope, Tatooine wasn't a primitive-looking place at all. They had, especially if you see the outtakes, it was very modern-looking place. So they went and they kind of de-evolved the thing down into this more Conan-esque look.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the interesting part of it is that when you're looking at the creatures, a lot of it is like water-based. And it's kind of surprising for a desert planet that you would have a lot of water-based creatures, you know, hanging up there and not dried out like jerky or something like that.
Yeah, a lot of them look like frogs and amphibians.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a good point.
And then George's love of racing came through with the pod racing.
Yeah.
And they actually use in the scene basically the cut version that you kind of hear in the audio dramas of Star Wars, the same kind of race that happens where they have the rival crash into something and then Luke Skywalker and his friend wins the race.
Well, the new animated series that they have coming up is all about racers.
Yeah.
The Resistance or whatever it's called. It's about, racers.
Is it really?
Yep.
Yeah, but it's not good. It doesn't excite me.
Let's save that for another show.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
All right, so moving on, we've got Coruscant, and this is our real first look at, a world that we've only heard of before. Right? It was only briefly mentioned a few times. And now all of a sudden we're immersed in, an entire different planet that we've never really seen before on the big screen or, at home on, VHS.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I got that in the closet, man.
I wonder if it was too on the nose having it ivory white and they had to change it to more of that colorful landscape because I remember, just give us a moment to breathe in, the planet because it felt like because they linger too long at the beginning that they were kind of rushing beats towards the end of the movie.
Well, the first thing that came to my mind when I saw it was Mega City, just instead Mega Planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the entire planet is the city.
Huh. So Jake, how's the chicken?
It's I got the lid off. It's got like 15 more minutes on it. I gotta pull it out again.
That tells me you're toasting the skin.
I'm doing something. I don't know. I'm just following directions.
Oh, we got a couple more people come in. Gary's stream just ended, so maybe a couple of people came over.
Sure. Oh, there's that Yoda we were talking about a few minutes ago.
Is
Not the
is that
puppet
Yoda
one,
or is
but
that
it's-
the female one?
This one's Yoda, and I assume this one down here would be the female one. It's
Right.
it's got a cuter look to it, for being an old wrinkled frog.
What's her
As
name?
cute as an old wrinkled frog could be. But look at this one up here. This Jedi that we've never seen on the screen.
The bug one. Ah, that's interesting.
We've never seen a bug in Star Wars. I was going through this book earlier, and he is so foreign to me. I've never seen a bug in Star Wars.
Hmm.
We might have briefly seen something like it in the cantina in A New Hope, but
Oh, look at that.
yeah.
Oh,
This,
Mother Talisman, and they
yeah.
use that. Yeah, and they use her in the Clone Wars animated TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a shame, too, because I think she would have brought a darker element to such a bright movie. That's the only way I can put this movie. It was supposed to be a bright, happy movie, and they're all talking about war, and everything's so sunny and happy. There was really no gloom. Like even the fight scene where Qui-Gon Jinn dies, it's bright in there. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
But
I think you hit the nail on the head with that. What they were trying to do is make it for younger viewers, but yet they were telling an adult story, and make it a choice, And I think they should have made it for the old fans and gone full on with it, and that's not what they did.
Yeah.
Now that Qui-Gon picture there, they're using that for a comic coming out as a variant cover. I do know that.
This one here.
Oh wow.
Yep. I saw it on the recent Marvel Solicit.
Okay, so this one over here is actually the original before they announced that Liam Neeson was Qui-Gon.
Nice.
This was
Really?
the original concept for him. This was Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
This was Obi-Wan. And then they tried to redraw this one in his likeness for this pose.
Yeah.
That's what was going on here.
Oh, I see. That's
And then we've
interesting.
got some little concepts of the lightsabers and the little hologram thing that he carried with him.
Oh yeah.
Well,
It's
that pretty
interesting
much,
because
that pretty much
because-
wraps it up. This is the last page here, and it's the C-3PO concept design.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It is interesting though, because Obi-Wan Kenobi definitely has a Japanese feel to it, but Qui-Gon Jinn definitely has a Chinese feel to it.
Well, I know in the New Hope, Luke Skywalker's white little, I don't know what you would call it. It's the suit that he's wearing in the opening when we first see Luke.
Yeah.
It's like his pajamas, right? That is actually supposed to look like karate gi,
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
right? Yeah. And then what I liked about that is as the movies progressed, his suit turned from that light color to a brown color.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the last movie, he went black, which was that
Oh, yeah.
foreboding atmosphere that, the end was near, right?
Yep.
Mm.
And then we
Oh,
have
why?
right on the back cover.
Now,
Just
did
that
I miss
little-
out on? Did I miss out on any Watteau concept art while I was checking the chicken?
It's not in this book.
Oh,
Like I
man.
said, this is just a small little one that came with the VHS.
Yeah,
And I wouldn't be surprised if there is a larger version of this book out there somewhere.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because I did see,
Pixel.
as I was looking for reference photos for
Wonder
the
if I have-
thumbnail picture that I'm going to post, it actually had a different painting on the front, and it was the same title. So
Yeah, I have.
I'm not
the one
sure
I have-
what.
I have a book. Mine is just Star Wars concepts, and it bridges for the whole franchise. And I got gifted it last year for Christmas, and it's pretty cool.
Oh, look at that.
She's not fitting together. Oh,
Just a couple comments from the chat over here.
yeah.
Pixel Trader says that Ponda Baba was kind of bug-like. No. And James says that Plo Koon was a little bug-like, I think. They're arguing about it. Now they're saying Ponda Baba was a walrus man. Okay.
Forlom had bug attributes. I don't think Forlom had bug attributes.
Well, I'm surprised that in this movie we didn't see them on calamari with all those little wet frogs and stuff like that was going on.
Yeah, that would have been cool, huh?
Yeah. Admiral Akbar, he's probably one of my favorite voices for any of the Star Wars costumed characters. His voice fit that part so well. It's just etched into me. It's a trap, you know. It's etched into my mind.
It was very cool. But Rian Johnson doesn't like it, so no more for you.
Oh, yeah. It was not even a grand farewell. It's like, you get sucked out of the explosion, sucked out into space. You dead.
Yeah, it was sad. But you see what Ivan Ortega did with it, though? How he brought Calamari back and made him a central figure? You guys know about Ivan Ortega, and he's remaking the Last Jedi?
Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's really cool what that guy's doing.
I will.
Yeah. Should look at his trailer and see the amazing edits.
Well, he's editing the entire movie, re-editing it.
You know what I want him to re-edit after the re-edit of episode 8? Buckaroo Banzai.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. That's way off topic, but yeah.
Not really, because it's about edits. You save a movie through an edit. And if Ivan's edit actually works and gives what we want, then it was really the problem of not so much of Ryan's shooting, but Ryan's editing that it
failed.
What
I want to see remade?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see John Lithgow reunited with Harry from Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh, yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
All right, fellas, it's bedtime here. I want to thank you all for joining me on The Art of. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do lives all the time for this. But when I do, you guys are more than welcome to join in anytime.
Sure. I'd love to come back.
Cool. Thanks, man. It was fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. So how often are we posting on FanSpeak, Chester?
FanSpeak, we have FanSpeak every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we also have Bugbear's Basement at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesdays, which will be tomorrow. And tomorrow's Bugbear Basement will be talking about cartoons of our childhood and the things that are going on now. We're also just started up today, putting up Comics News Today, which is a daily 15, 30-minute show about the news that's going on in the comic book industry. So if you guys are interested, come check it out. We're having a lot of fun, and don't forget to join us. Go to the FanSpeak Facebook group and become a member, and go on there and tell us, hey, I want to be on the show, and we will put you on.
Excellent. All right, fellas, you guys want to wave goodbye?
Yep. Goodbye.
All
Goodbye.
Right. See you. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks. Have a wonderful day.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.